Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Le Bearded Gourmand. Today we're going to be making some of everyone's favorite tagliatelle alla ragu, otherwise known as spaghetti bolognese for us non-Italians. This is a dish that I got the chance of trying myself in Bologna, and having eaten it properly, I tried to figure out a way to recreate those flavors here. Stay tuned, I'll show you guys how to do it. Okay guys, so it's very important when you're making the ragu alla bolognese that you use veal, pork, and beef. You need to have all three. It's very important. And I know some people are going to say, oh, but pork is fatty. Yes, that's what it's there for. This is going to be a super rich sauce that's going to cover the pasta. You want that fat there. Fat is flavor. You're going to see throughout the more you watch this channel, the more you're going to see that I don't give two shits about fat. Fat is good, salt is good. Maybe don't eat like this every day, it's not, but we're all here to treat ourselves, okay? So don't skimp out, get some fatty pork, get some fatty meat. That's what you need to do. I just did this for display purposes, but the best thing to do is to mix this all up. So this way it's all incorporated. It's going to be all incorporated. This way we don't need to break it up in the pan. It's just going to be easier to fry later when we're going to be searing it off. And guys, use your hands, please. Like, I can't stress this enough. So just mix it all up. We're going to leave this off to the side. Wash our hands because of course we're dealing with pork. We're already dealing with coronavirus. We don't need to bring up memories of swine flu, or we don't need to get any other sickness. So wash your hands. Always have a rag on you. This is just habit. Always working in restaurants, we're always taught to have a rag with us. It helps when you're handling hot pots. You wash your hands, you wipe the counter. Rags aren't just for good looks. I grew up in a Greek household. We always used to leave rags on the stove. God forbid we ever wiped our hands on them. They were just there for good looks. So we could start right away with the garlic. Now the garlic is a bit of a controversial issue because traditionally there's no garlic in the ragu. Personally, I like it. You don't really taste it a lot. You could just give your garlic a smash. You just want to break the bulb. And my garlic went flying. Let's pretend that didn't happen.
What are those?
It's okay. It's still in the skin. All right. We're going to cook this off. We're going to kill all the nasty bacteria. Plus, we have clean floors anyway, so that doesn't matter. So like with anything, you have a good base. A mirepoix, the Italians call it a sofrito, onion, carrot, and celery. Now your onion, it's a debate. Some people like to use Spanish onions. Some people like to use white onions. I wouldn't use red onions. Anything else would do. So you want to take this off. Guys, have yourself a little compost bowl. I can't stress it enough. Just work clean. Try and keep your workstations clean. I'm going to peel this off. Now the thing with an onion, I always get people asking me, oh, how many layers should I peel off until it looks nice? You could peel off the first layer and the second layer is ugly. Oh, don't keep the second layer. It's as simple as that. Use your logic, guys. It's very easy. So there we go. Onion's nice and clean. We could wipe this off. Wipe the knife clean. Now if you're like me and you want to invest a little extra in a good knife, this is a carbon steel knife, so you're going to see me wiping it a lot. It's not like stainless steel, it rusts. But it's also incredibly sharp. So we're just going to come along, dice this onion. It doesn't have to be microscopic. right, line this up, give yourself a few base cuts here. There we go, nice, nice. Now again, this is gonna fry off. This is gonna stew for a few hours. It's all gonna melt away. We won't even notice that it's there in the end. It's okay if it's not perfect, guys. Practice makes perfect. I'm gonna transfer it to this bowl right here. So then we're just gonna dice up this carrot. You want to give yourself a good base when you're cutting a round vegetable. Cut yourself some edges. For celery, again, it's a little round. You could just press it down if it doesn't stay. Just try and make sure it stays as much as possible. Just glide it down. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing with the garlic. Here's a little trick if you want to mince your garlic real quick. Put it down, put your heel of the knife there. Nice and crushed. Same thing. Nice and crushed. And then just go over it quickly with your knife. Turn it all around. Again, watch your fingers. You can do this. Don't be afraid to rock your knife. I'm going to put this in the bowl. That's pretty much all the veg prep we need. Let's head over to the stove. Okay guys, so now we're over at the stovetop. Here again we have our 3 types of minced meat. Some tomato paste, rosemary and thyme, our garlic, our vegetables, salt, pepper as always, white wine, some chicken stock, and some milk. Now I know it seems a little weird to put milk in a recipe like this, but you'll see why. So we're just going to start off on a high heat. Try and use an enamel pot. They are the best. So we're going to start off with a little bit of olive oil. Now again, we have lots of fat that's going to come from the pork. Now you want to do this in bunches, because if you were to just put all this minced meat inside, it's just going to boil. It's going to be very ugly. So we're just going to wait for this to come up to heat. Again, use a wooden spoon. Traditionally, wooden spoons are the best. You can use a heat-tempered spatula. You can use, I wouldn't use stainless steel, it scratches, it's not, but wooden spoons are the best. Kids are misbehaving. Quick little weapon as well. We're gonna come in, we'll probably do this in 2 batches. And remember, keep on breaking it up. This is a meat sauce, not meatballs. But don't forget to season with salt and pepper. Season as you go, it's very important. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Keep this going. So you see here, we're getting some browning around the edges. That's good. That's called a fond. Non-French people call it a fond. The D is silent. So you see, once you hear that sound, it means all the water is evaporating and the fat's coming out of the meat. Again, crush it. Break up this meat. We don't want it chunky. It'll break down further. It'll definitely break down further once we get to the ragu stage, which is basically a long, slow cook. I'll take out our meat. Go in with our second half. Salt, pepper, alright, so now that we have this meat, the second batch pretty much brown, we can go in with our vegetables. We want to cook this all off. We want to let it sweat. Put this down. Don't forget, season as you go. I added things in, I have to add more seasoning. Don't just season at the end. We need to create layers. Layers of flavor. Every time you add something in, you season. Now as this is sweating off, we can go ahead and add the rest of our meat in that we did the first shot as well. It'll continue to release all its fat into the ragu. So you see the onions are starting to go a little bit translucent. There's a nice little one right here. The onions are starting to go a little clear. That means we're sweating. That's exactly what we want. We're not burning. When you use a heavy bottom pan or sauce pot, whether it's heavy bottom stainless steel or an enamel or even cast iron, those are the best. They hold their heat. It's not super concentrated. It doesn't burn. And again, all this stuff on the side, that's not burnt. Burnt is black. Brown is flavor. So at this point, our vegetables have sweat down. We're going to make a little well in the middle. We're going to add our tomato paste. When you get that tomato paste in, you're going to work from the inside out. Cook off your tomato paste a little bit. You don't want that super raw, acidic tomato flavor. Just like that. Make sure it gets in there. This is going to give us a beautiful color and that hint of tomato flavor. Contrary to popular belief, the Ragu alla Bolognese does not have any actual tomato sauce. We've cooked out our tomato paste for about a minute. We're going to deglaze with our See guys, I'm not even perfect. I just realized I forgot the garlic. It's not the end of the world. It's not too late. I haven't added my liquids yet. Just add your garlic in, sweat that off for about a minute. So once everything is nice and incorporated, we're going to deglaze with our white wine. You want to cook this off till evaporated. Cook away all the alcohol. We're going to go in now with our chicken stock. Now we've got to bring this up to a boil. Remember when I told you guys about the milk? The proteins in the milk are going to help break down the meat and make it super tender and creamy. So the milk goes in now. So as this is coming up to a boil, we're going to add in our 1 sprig of rosemary, our 2 sprigs of thyme. The second it comes up to a boil, we're going to drop it down to a simmer. And again, like any good recipe, low and slow. That's how you extract the most amount of flavor That's how you're going to get all the meat to break down and just be super rich. Now I know it looks a little loose now, but don't worry. Once we're done with this thing, it's going to taste amazing. All right, everyone, so here we are after about 3.5 hours of cooking time. Come and see what's going on. So pretty much all the liquid has evaporated, and you're just left with this beautiful unctuous sauce. We're gonna take out the stems of rosemary and thyme, put these on the side. We don't need those anymore. Do we see the other one? No. Well, someone's gonna be lucky and get it in their plate. Was that it? No. So now I have my water on a heavy rolling boil. Always use a big pot. Okay, there's people that I see, they want to cook a whole box of pasta and they use like this little tiny sauce pot. Your pasta needs space to move. Also, it's very important you heavily salt your water. Not all of this salt is gonna go in this pasta. Okay, look. That's it. All right. Now, we could put this aside. Don't forget to check for final seasoning. Mine just happened to be okay. All right. Remember, don't always put too much salt at the beginning. You could always add, you could never take out. So I checked for seasoning. This was fine. I had enough. So I'm going to take this off the heat. I'm going to bring this over. I'm going to take a nice pan. I'm going to get myself a nice serving of the Bolognese sauce. All right. That's fine. We don't need to heat it up right away. We're going to put this in. It's always go with what the package says. If you're unsure, if you're using dried pasta, this is egg pasta. It says 6 minutes. Cook it for about 5 because we're going to finish the cooking in the pan. So we're going to drop these right in the water and just leave those go. Leave your water come back up to a boil. So now that our pasta is almost ready, I'm going to turn the heat up on the sauce. I'm going to add some butter. Here's a little trick I like to do. It's a little bit of a restaurant thing. You pre-cut your cubes of butter. Leave them in the fridge. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, you know, putting butter in your food isn't healthy. Well, guess what? It adds flavor. 1, 2. Not the end of the world. Like I said, we're here to enjoy our food. This isn't dietary friendly food. So I'm going to take the pasta out. Make sure to just right inside with the pasta water. Now pasta water is important because the starch that's left over in the water is going to help bring everything together. So now we're going to bring our sauce together. Add a little bit more pasta water, turn the heat up. And like I said, now we're finishing the cooking inside the pan. There's still some water, it's a little too saucy. But instead of boiling there, it's boiling inside the pot. It's absorbing all those lovely flavors. Toss your pasta. If you want to add some more water. Now you could do it with a ladle. Again, however you're comfortable. You don't have to do what I'm doing. I'm used to it. So you see, there's just a little bit of water left at the bottom of the pan. We're going to wait for some of that to go away. Right before we put the cheese, we need to turn off the heat. We're gonna turn off the heat. We're gonna toss in our cheese, and then we're ready to plate. Always have a plate ready. Don't leave it last second. Oh, I'm gonna take this off the heat. I'm gonna add my cheese. Again, make sure it's all mixed nice and well. Then we're gonna come to our plate. With Thai in the middle of the plate. Then all this sauce that's left over, you want to get that in there. That's what you worked hard for, that's what you want on your plate. Finish with a little bit of cheese. And there you have it. Tagliatelle al ragu, or like most people know it, alla Bolognese. Hope everyone enjoys this recipe, and make sure to enjoy this with a nice glass of red.